governor said that if you vote for Biden, you should all go away. Can you believe she said that on TV?
Can't believe half of what I hear. Just listen to a clip where Biden's now trying to say he's not going to take our money.
We are live.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to call this meeting of the Leelanau County Parks and Rec Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Behrens,
Here.
Mr. Christensen. Absent. Mr. Frericks,
Here.
Ms. Lautner,
Present.
Mr. Noonan, absent excused, Mr. Popa,
Here.
Mr. Travis, absent, Mr. Walter,
Here.
Mr. Wessel,
Here.
Mr. Yeomans.
Here.
Okay, I see I skipped the order. I skipped the Pledge of Allegiance. Would somebody there in the room please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got through that.
Thank you. Period now for public comment.
If you'd like to comment publicly at today's session, the number to call in is 231-256-8109. It looks like we have nobody watching.
Let me know when it's good enough, Laurel.
It's probably good enough.
Okay. So we'll move on. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? All in favor of this agenda, say aye. Raise your hand, please. Raise your hand for.
So we have 7 present.
So we have an agenda. First item is approval of financial reports.
I have a question. Just want to make sure that I see that we're 46.3% of the way through our budget.
Correct.
So this is the time to make sure we make capital purchases and anything else we need. Correct?
Correct.
Well,
Besides the snow removal, what else do you need?
we should be paying for that building, shouldn't we? I was waiting for Casey. Or do you
Part
have
of
an
that's
update?
already in there, that we've already pre-bought material.
Under capital outlay?
Capital outlay, $12,087. Apparently that was approved pre-purchase materials.
Okay, I wondered about that, because last I heard we couldn't prepay, so we found a way to do that. Okay, that's good.
So that's just not the labor.
Right, so
I
we'll have to
was
see where we
surprised to see
are.
that, and I'm like, I
Right,
just found, like, what is this?
okay, so for 33,000 or 32 something was
Yeah.
what was materials. So we might not have a whole lot left.
Nah, we should have quite a bit.
Think so? Or you think it's a good deal on that building?
So I
have
need
a
to-
question.
I need to understand, there's been a prepayment on some materials for the grub shack, but that's not showing up in the 43.7%?
Yeah, it was 45,000 and we're down to 12,000.
Got it.
So under, what do,
No, the 12,000 is what we spent.
no, that should be what's left.
Yeah, so we have 33,000.
Yeah.
33,000 left instead of 45.
No, that should, 12,000 should be, that's our actual, should be what we've got left is 12,000. Oh, it's, I mean, that's revenue expense. Yeah, that should be what we've got left. Right? Yeah, that should be what we've got left in there. It's a 12.
No,
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 we have
that's what we spent.
45 minus 12 left in the capital budget. Right, Scott?
Correct.
I have a question.
For the month, you did 11,900. Current year to date's 12.
John, yes, excuse me, go.
I missed the last couple of meetings, but is our bill for spraying the ponds at Veronica Valley, is that paid and is that in here?
I believe so.
Was it paid like, because the attachments here are just for this past period, correct, Scott?
Yes.
So where did we pay that out of? Contractors?
Yes. It was out of contract.
Repair and maintenance. But I don't have the about that paper I have, so. It came out of repair and maintenance.
Okay, so it's been paid.
I believe so.
Okay.
So who was printing and publishing?
Kind of
Remember-
color ad,
What was it?
color tour ad, I think.
Oh, an ad. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Those brochures, isn't it?
There is an ad in the color tour.
Yeah, we've been doing the one, there's a spring insert, and then there's the fall insert. And we've been doing them every year for the last, I don't know how many years. They do a nice job, they get a lot of circulation with that, and we don't do
Melinda?
a whole lot of pricing, but it seems to work out pretty well.
As it has in the past, that came at me, and I think Steve as well, kind of late in the game in second week of August or something. We made an executive decision to do it again so that we got a bit of a discount by making that decision early, committing to that print early. I covered some of that in the last meeting, but that's what that's about.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Dave,
Yes, Ty?
I want to go back to the capital outlay because we've got $33,000 left in there.
We have 37,000 because we have a capital outlay under 5,000.
Okay, so 37. How much is our proposed groomer going to cost? 2,000? So we either have to do some of the things that need to be done. We've got a long shopping list. This is the time to do it. But if we don't decide on it today or soon, it's going to be too late. So I guess I'd like to make sure that gets talked about when we get to the various committees so that we look at what our needs are.
Some of that's just materials now too that we already paid for. There's gonna be a labor on the grub shack, I imagine, that's gonna come out of that. So I'll have to ask Casey if he
Right.
shows up, how much much that is, and that would drop it substantially.
I think it was about, I think we were talking about $20,000, so probably 8,000 in labor maybe, but we'll ask Casey.
Right.
But we still have a fair amount left.
Fair
there.
amount left, absolutely.
Well, Ty, one thing that my committee had, the Veronica Committee just had a meeting immediately prior to this meeting. And John Pope is urging, and he's urged us all to do this before, but at John's urging, we're gonna have before our next full commission meeting in December, the Veronica group will sit down and go back to the planning and the work schedule we came up with for the grant application and then for the 5-year recreation plan, and prioritize it for the next year. I don't know if Veronica is prepared to spend any of this capital outlay right now, because we're gonna do this prioritizing at our next meeting.
My assumption is that we can't carry this forward.
Correct.
And so whatever we decide we want to do for priorities next year, that's not related to this year's budget.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, I don't know, well, John and Steve and John and Steve can speak to this. I don't know what we can spend at Veronica right now in the time frame.
We don't have anything other than that roller.
Well, what did we budget for? What was in our capital outlay for 2020? We did the grub shack. Did we do playground equipment for
There was,
Old Settlers?
the cleanup at Miles, is kind of
The
in the
trails?
Well, we were
works.
holding back
That,
for the Veronica Valley thing, and that didn't go.
Right.
yeah, I think we figured, between the cleanup at Miles and the grub shack, that we would be chewing through a big portion of it, if not the whole thing.
Any bids come in on that cleanup?
I'm still waiting on council to forward them back to me.
It's not gonna happen this year.
We're waiting on time.
Yeah, I don't know what happened at corporate, I mean, that,
We're out of time now, we'll never get it through bids, and then it has to go through county commissioners, and that's all one.
So we can take that one out of the equation.
But it still needs. to
yeah, it
happen.
looks like there's quite a few
At least
hurdles yet to
years.
go on that one.
Right. Just not on this budget.
Did our tennis court repairs get done?
Yes.
That was 2 years ago.
We've talked at that time when we were talking with Glen Lake about needing pickleball courts.
The whole Glen Lake thing is ship has sailed. They built their own tennis courts,
Right.
so. Ship has sailed.
But it still would be nice to have some pickleball courts.
Yeah. They would.
Sailed by dark of night. That was the night. Yeah, there was a question of pickleball court. Have you heard any interesting pickleball since we talked about it a couple of years ago?
They're doing it behind my house.
They do
Yeah.
it everywhere, all over. People ask me, hey, you ever
They
have
still want it.
pickleball?
Okay.
And,
I just
people
hadn't
ask
heard.
me about the trail around a lot at Miles. 1 mile of trail that we've talked about.
I know, I really want to do that.
That's part of the cleanup.
No, it's a different one. This is a loop or a running,
Border,
yeah, that one.
no, it goes around the open.
Around the sports complex part, yeah.
Like Civic Center trail.
The border of the sports complex, like.
Yeah.
John Popa.
I call this to question, we're just approving this, and I make a motion that we approve the financial report as submitted. We're getting into other discussions.
Thank you. Thank you. Do I hear a second for that approval of the financials?
I'll second that.
Discussion on that point? All in favor, please raise your hand. Well, Ty, I hear you. We haven't spent our money again. We ought to be spending our money. Can we reasonably do that? Do you have any idea for doing some of that before the end of the year?
our parks committees haven't been, at least Miles Kimmerly hasn't been meeting. We had plans for a trail and wood chips around that trail. We had talked about needing pickleball courts. But I don't have any recommendations, but I guess my recommendation would be that the committees that need to meet, and make sure when we meet in November, we have recommendations on what we need to spend.
Yeah, Miles Kimmerly stuff right there.
No, we have no parks scheduled for November. I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna remind you, you typically don't have a November meeting, but you can always schedule a special session.
Yeah, if we did it maybe a week early or something, get away from deer season, it might work. The next would be Thanksgiving weekend, and that's not going to work. But if we did something around the 11th, well, the 11th, is the courthouse closed, the 11th? Yeah, it should be. So maybe the 12th? Or afternoon of the 10th? We can talk about that.
Well, but if this is supposed, if that's supposed to be a work session to really make a decision about really spending some more of these dollars this year, is that even reasonable? I mean, Ty, I agree.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, we could
Right.
order, like, but in the past, we've done things like we ordered picnic tables
Sure,
and
yeah,
paid for
yeah,
them
we
by
could
the end of
get
the year.
bits and pieces of things
Yeah,
together, but a
basically-
major project, you're not gonna pull off in
Maybe not
less
like
than 2 months.
trails, but we could order a piece of playground equipment, or, that's why I was wondering what was in our capital budget. I don't remember what we budgeted for exactly.
That'll have to go out for bids. Playground.
I think it wouldn't if we did the Michigan thingy.
Yeah, that's yours. I made it for everybody. This came out of a job.
So,
committee.
well, maybe Casey's got an idea when he comes on.
And say, where are we? Are we gonna upgrade the equipment? Where are we in furnishing?
Well,
Yes, Ty.
I for one would favor having a meeting and a special meeting in November to look at this. Because, but only do that if our subcommittees meet before that and have some recommendations.
The Veronica Valley Subcommittee is gonna meet next month.
We haven't,
We haven't picked a date though,
that's correct. We haven't picked a date yet.
but we're gonna meet, because we got a punch list. Miles Kimmerly has a punch list, and so does Old Settlers.
Quite a bit longer.
Who's the chair of Old Settlers?
I am. And we have not met, but mostly we've got that grub shack going on. So
This came out of your general wood.
Miles Kimberly said he has some needs. It has not met.
Well, where do we go from here, folks?
Well, let's just go down through the committees. Does Kimberly have anything to say? Does Old Settlers have anything? And
They haven't met.
Veronica,
Well, in terms of, Ty, do you really think having a special session is going to get us anywhere in terms of this? Because I see your point that we haven't spent our money again, but we should. Well, that's why I want to make sure that Veronica's meeting, we use this month to meet, to work out our priority, but that is all for next year.
Well, I'm looking at the Miles Kimmerly work plan that John brought to the meeting. We have several things on it. I think we ought to meet before November, and we'll convene that group between Kyle and Dave and me, and who else is on it? I'm not sure who else.
Steve,
And we will see if there's some things we can do on this plan before the end of the year. And come with a recommendation.
Can I get a copy of that, please, from somebody?
Miles Kimberly one?
All of them.
normally this time of year, we're looking at buying a piece of equipment if we had money left over. And the groomer is one thing, but it's not that much.
Well, you know, you get supplies, you know, trash cans, those are pretty expensive for disc golf. Tennis nets, grills,
Little stuff.
gravel, stuff like that, I could, you know, but the major thing is.
Well, and it's not that we don't have some needs, but we go through the budget process and there are commissioners that want to cut the budget down and we say, no, we've got needs, and then we don't
Use
them.
I know.
So we need to do that.
And on top of that,
Trust me, it's aggravating to me too.
we've turned in
Thank you.
20 or 30,000 last few years chasing that grant. So that is money that had been allocated and we didn't use, so.
It's hard too, but old settlers, we sucked up, you know, most of the money this year because of the grub shack and the donations that didn't come in on it. So that's why we haven't asked for more play equipment or, you know, a path around that we talked about too. So, and our dock is fine, I'm assuming.
That's good.
Well, Ty didn't suggest this as a formal motion, but I need to hear, do I want to hear a motion about a special meeting in November or, I mean, time's getting tight already.
I would like to know where we stand. So I would suggest that Casey or Scott or someone wants to sit down with Jen, see where our budget is, where it's projected, how far we think we'll get on the pool building, how much we're going to spend, how much we think we would have left that we could spend yet this year on something. And then I think we should meet and decide what it is. If we have over 7,000 left or 5,000, pick a number. And if it's less than that, go with Scott's idea and have Scott buy supplies he's going to need that we wouldn't have to take out of the budget in another year. That would seem logical to me. If we don't have enough left, it's a certain threshold to make it worthwhile to get together and decide what do we want to spend on.
You're saying have Casey meet with Scott, just,
Well, so we need to sit down
Order
with
signs,
Jen and
order
have
some
Jen
park
really
benches.
look at it. Let Jen, you know, she must know how much, we're gonna have some more to, you know,
I've already talked with John, so I understand what.
how much is like labor, how much, are we gonna finish the grub check this year? I was kind of hoping to hear where we were on that.
I was kind of hoping that too, because nothing's been done at all.
He's planning on zooming in 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
Getting the corn off.
Yeah,
Getting his children
Okay.
from school.
because that's important. I mean,
Because probably, you know.
if we're not gonna have labor this year, that's a whole nother thing. I would say a big piece.
It keeps getting kicked back.
Right.
It's gonna end in August, then September, then October, here we are.
All right. Well, let's wait to hear from Casey then in 10 minutes, and maybe move on in the meantime. Yeah.
Well, what's left on the agenda is, I mean, at this moment is reports from each park, and we pretty much heard that. The one, Veronica Valley has recommended to this commission that we buy this snowpacker to go with our grooming equipment. It sounds like you're all apprised of that, and it's roughly what, Scott, we said up to 2,000. So I assume we need a motion here with this full commission to continue with that purchase.
is it possible, Laurel, to read back our motion that we
I
made?
emailed it to all commission members.
What's that?
I emailed it to all commission members.
I have a motion. I move to purchase a snow grooming roller from ABR Trails of Ironwood, Michigan, manufactured by UP Fabricating Company Incorporated at a cost not to exceed $2,000.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Oh, wait a second. I
No,
just
please
have a quick question. Is this gonna go to all the parks, or is it? You can put it on a trailer and take it,
Yes, it's small enough.
well, I shouldn't say all the parks, 2 parks?
Yeah, 2 parks.
2 parks.
Miles. It would be used for snowshoe trails at Miles. So it just won't work skiing there. It's snowshoeing, right?
And what do you pull it, what are you pulling it with? With Kubota or?
Yeah, the RTV, right?
Cool.
Further discussion?
Anybody else need to speak?
All those in favor of this motion to proceed with the purchase, yes, raise your hands.
Oh, sorry.
I show 8. All pass.
Get 2.
I guess the other part of any report from Veronica Valley is just what we've already gone through. We've got to get our, starting with the work list, in effect, that's what they are, a work list we created with both the grant application and the 5-year recreation plan. Each committee's got to get that prioritized. Looking ahead, because I've been on the commission now, whatever it is, 4 years or something. We've never spent enough of our money, and we give it back, so. Anything to say about Miles Kimmerly?
I have a question.
Go,
Probably
Steve.
Scott. It's a Scott question. What's the story on the groomer? Is it something that's functional that we use? Do we need something like that at Miles, I guess is where I'm heading.
The old groomer?
No. The grooming piece,
The one to buy.
Oh,
that's probably too wide to be schlepping back and forth. Do we need a thing like that at Miles?
Yes. I'll answer for him.
Yeah.
So if we had a groomer piece at Miles, like the groomer piece we have at Veronica, you could go back and forth with the Kubota and the roller and roll and groom at both parks on a
yes.
continual basis. I think Dave wants you to groom every day, right, Dave?
Well, no,
No,
yeah.
I mean, that was a Norwegian humor, and Scott's gonna
Sure.
punch me if I'm any closer to him. But I mean, there's a piece of equipment that is not real cheap that we may be able to purchase this year because we're not gonna get into the cleanup that we thought. And that cleanup is gonna be like a $20,000, $30,000 thing, or I don't know what. It's a big thing, but now that we can't get into that, maybe that's something we can look at. And if it's something Scott thinks we need, maybe.
How much does that groomer cost?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
You don't have the answer?
I want to vote for Veronica's pond too, so don't ask me how much it costs.
$30, $40 footer, what do you have in mind?
No, it's something you can roll around in and check his weeds.
Well, if you're pretty sure that it's gonna be over 5, you can go out for quotes.
Get 3 quotes. Go for bids or quotes?
We'll do a week-long ask for quotes. Because it's not like you're getting a bunch of stuff with it, you're just purchasing. It's a capital outlay purchase, you're purchasing a piece of equipment.
I see a pathway.
Much.
Is it over, are you pretty sure it's over 5?
It'll be around 5.
When we do meet for Miles, if we're still on Miles, if I can interject a comment.
Please.
At one point in time, we did vote to do the loop trail. There were some questions about it. The 2 that come to mind that we needed decided on the committee level was, number 1, how to go out for bids. There's a couple ways to do it. One, we can go to an engineering company and have them design the entire thing with all of the cuts and fills and the complete plan and take that to bids. The other way to go out to bids would be to take how many ever cross-sections that the engineering firm would have us do. Let's say it's a half a dozen cross-sections that gives the different cuts and fills for those specific spots, and then flag the trail and go out to bids that way. So that's two different ways to go out to bids. We needed to decide that. And the second thing, which is probably the most critical, is to actually decide where exactly is that loop trail going to go. We did cross some bridges, jump some hurdles, pretty much determined that we could do that trail up close to the county road and go over the septic lines that feed the septic systems there without worrying about compaction and that kind of thing, or hurting those lines. So we pretty much got that figured out. Beyond that, that in my mind is pretty straightforward. There's several sections to it. You could do the excavation for it, then you could come back and do the road base for it, then you could come back and do the asphalt for it. So there's 3 chunks of money plus the design. There's 4 chunks of money that could be spent with just that one project that we as a commission have already voted to do. Just needed to get the hurdles crossed. So anyway, that's my comment.
I concur. I concur with whatever plan you can come up to do that. If we have to divide the thing into 4 sections and pick it away, pick away at it that way.
That's where we are, I think. You're
I
right.
get-
I mean, as a commission, we've tried the grant thing, and we were saving 10 grand a year, putting that back in, and the grant.
Yeah.
We thought that was a good way to go, but yeah, now we're let's spend the money the best way we can.
The disc golf community too would like to do a minor redesign of the course. And they just like kind of bouncing it off me. And it's nothing formal or anything, but one of them was to move 16th hole into the woods, which would clear kind of our path to our walking path. Because that was one of our problems was, how do we deal with disc golfers, the path, blah, blah, blah. And so that's, might fit in there too, so.
Wasn't that kind of designed by a volunteer person that's involved with that?
Cal Binky or Bunky or what's his name.
One of the disc golfers designed it.
There's another guy that's kind of taken over for him, and Greg,
There's a slider,
you
isn't
met
there?
him here, he's come and spoken.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got some good ideas and that would kind of refresh the course and, bring it up to,
And they've done a lot of the work on it too in the
Yeah.
past too.
yeah, they really did.
So they could probably even do that.
If,
But,
could that person step up and do the design to get that thing into the woods?
yeah,
That's a step we could do there. That'd be nice. And then we'd have a design to work with, and that would point us in a direction of probably popping a few trees out or not. I don't know.
it's not, I'm not gonna spend the money on that this year, but
Hi Casey, hope you haven't waited long.
Hey, everybody.
Hi,
Hey,
Casey.
Casey.
Sorry for being late.
No
You're
problem.
excused.
Did you fill the semi?
Yeah, we're done combining corn.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Yeah, we finished up Monday.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be done.
We're
So
in
have-
the midst, we're in the midst of park reports on Miles Kimberly right now.
Okay, sounds good.
the thing is, there's only one place to hire. So that's the other options.
The fancy things.
You can just keep going along if you want, Dave.
Yeah.
You tell them how much it is?
You need to track down, you read that on so far.
We need to keep going. I gotta get going. So if there's nothing to say.
We have a price on that groomer before,
Less than 5,000.
it's less than 5,000 with the attachments that he wants.
So you have to have a motion.
So did I hear out of this year, which is,
We should ask Casey. Casey, how much more is the grub shack gonna cost? It's been prepaid up to how much?
It hasn't been prepaid. It'll be it was amount not to exceed 28,800, whatever that amount is. It's not going to be more than that, as far as I know anyways.
Will it be spent this year? Casey, will it be spent this year?
Yes.
Okay.
So approximately 16,000, right?
Casey, we were told that $12,087 has been spent on it so far for materials. Is that
Okay,
true?
and I didn't know exactly where he's at with that because he's going directly to Johanna and submitting the bills for as far as materials goes. And I don't know if he has everything ordered or where he's at with it, but I know he's being fronted the money for the materials, and then it'll be labor when we're all done.
So if we're at 12,000 and it's gonna be 28, not to be over 28, is that what you just said?
29, basically.
29, basically.
Correct.
We have a few $1,000s to buy a couple pieces of equipment by the end of the year is what we were talking about. Because it seems to me nothing else is gonna get done at any of the parks. They have to go out to contract.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I know that the equipment is something that we talked about as far as being an expenditure to use up some of our capital budget.
Or just
There's room in
drop
it,
bids?
and we already made a motion and voted on a groomer for Veronica, no, cultipacker. Snow,
Wouldn't have to do
whatever
that.
it's called.
Roller.
Snow roller for Veronica. And we were talking about a new groomer to leave at Miles Kimberly.
It's no problem with me. I think that's a great idea.
All right, so
We could do a motion and it's gonna be under 5,000?
I'll make a stab at it.
Free ride,
I move we recommend to the County Board of Commissioners to purchase a groomer for Miles Kimberly not to exceed $4,900.
Support?
discussion, further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands, please.
Now, if these are under 5,000, do they have to go to the board? Did that roller have to go to the board?
That's under 2.
Yeah, that was a 2, so check and approve that.
That's under 2.
So 2 is the limit? Okay. So who's gonna take this to the board?
Do we need to go off the quotes?
Well,
I think this is the only place that has any sun.
technically, is this similar to the last groomer you bought where it's very specialized, there's like only one place
Correct, you're
that
not
has
gonna,
it? So we can run a request for quotes for a week, which is still within the time frame of the board meeting, and we'll tighten up the motion so that it has the name of the company and where they're from
How
and the
big it
exact
is.
cost.
yeah, there's really only one place to get this.
It's
in the
like
world.
Yellowstone or something, I
Yeah,
can't remember.
Montana, it's
Yeah.
Yellowstone track system.
Yeah.
So Scott, you can get a little info to Laura, Laura, you can tighten that up and we're good to go.
We'll put it on the agenda for November.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
Perfect.
thank you.
$5,000. We still might have 11 we're right, we have 11,000 left.
So we passed the motion to make the purchase, and we're clear on how that's getting to the commission? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
While we're on the subject of Miles Kimmerly, I did see that they're starting to paint the barn here in the last few days.
Anything else with Miles Kimmer? How about Old Settler?
Nothing at this time.
Yeah, the only thing that I would talk about is Jamie is hoping to start sometime in the next 2 weeks. Things have just been behind with the COVID stuff and trying to get materials, and everything else has been just pushed him out a little farther. He was hoping to have it done in October, but he thought he'd have it done before the 1st of December.
Great.
I think we've really kind of covered, excuse me, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it really kind of worked out okay if we can get it done this year, since no one was allowed to have any real big gatherings. We probably didn't miss a whole lot of events with it this year. So hopefully it'll be in place for next year and we're opened up.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't expect it to take much more than a week once he gets started on it. It's just getting there to get started on it has been a project in and of itself.
News on the barn, it's being painted. I know that's not really our issue anymore, but the poor barn is being painted. It's looking real nice white. So, and they have offered us to possibly lease space in it to store stuff. They would give me a dollar amount what they want, but maybe something we want to consider. Trailers sitting out in the snow constantly and lots of it. So, I don't know if we're open to that or not, so.
What else beside the trailer, Scott? I mean, do we in fact need more storage?
Oh, we're so short countywide for storage, it's crazy.
Yeah, okay, countywide, yeah.
We could store somewhere, so.
I have enough pole barns, said no man ever, ever. Speaking for experience.
Right. You too. You build it, we'll fill it.
Fill it.
Anything else with Old Settlers? Okay, next on the agenda then is the 1973 Leelanau County Parks and Recreation Ordinance. I don't know what the issue is here. Laurel?
Well, I just pulled up the agenda from last month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
It was on there.
Put it off again.
got it. John?
It's been on the agenda here for the last couple of months, but I handed out last summer this ordinance, and people should have it in their file, on your booklet and whatever. If you've got it with you. I'll have to find it. It's an ordinance, and I checked with our prosecutor and attorney, and he pulled it out, and it's a 40-year-old ordinance. And it has all kinds of stuff in it. And if we're gonna have it on our agenda, should we study it? What are we gonna do about it? Do we need to delete it? It says you can't have tents, you can't have dogs, a whole bunch of stuff. So either this ordinance is gonna be obsolete and we have to take it to the commissioners, or is this gonna be part of our general plan?
I
And
sent
I think
that
we've
to
got other
council.
regulations already that cover this.
I sent that to council, and I think I forwarded it on to everyone several months ago
Yep.
with their suggested revisions. But nobody said anything about it. I think it's uploaded at one point to one of your meetings under handouts.
They sent you recommendations for
And I
the,
forwarded it on to all commission
And you sent
members.
us a draft ordinance on parks, rules and regulations. Yeah.
I guess I don't remember getting. So,
Laurel,
I
oh,
just- let
never
me,
mind, sorry.
I think we got it 9/2 of 20 was the last time. So
it was what?
9/2/20, that was the last time we got it.
Oh, September.
Second?
This year.
Mhm.
Well, we can leave it on the agenda again, but we've got to have that in front of us to see what we want to do about it. Who's going to take the lead on this? I took the lead in stirring the pot about it, but I can also take the lead in making sure we discuss this next meeting. I guess we should reread it again. I'd have to go find out where it is.
Yeah, I've got to reread it too.
I guess I'd have to find
Laurel,
out where-
Casey,
Laurel,
I
could
just
you possibly send that out with the revisions again, and then we'll discuss it at next month's meeting?
I'll resend it.
I just saw it on the agenda
It'll be in,
this morning,
it'll be
so-
in December because we won't meet next month.
We won't or will?
We don't have a meeting in November.
Right.
He came in after that discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're right, we're not scheduled to meet in November. Well, we did have some discussion about having a special meeting to try to spend down our budget this year. If we have anything left. So somewhere around, we think we'll get some final numbers after today, but we might have something left, like
Sent that, did you
10,000,
send the
12,000 left.
copy of all the rules too? Did I see that? You know, the pictures of the signs.
Okay, so that's gonna get resent out, so that subject is done.
John, you took the lead, I appreciate that. Can I interject?
please.
You're gonna take the lead on getting, connecting with Laurel to get this piece resent with the revisions. Can you also hunt down the photos of the rules for each park to go out with it also, please? And those have been floating around in our emails too.
Yeah, Laurel asked for me to send them to her. And so she's gonna get all three.
But anyway, if you can interface with her and get that off for the next go
Okay,
ahead.
with you guys.
And then crack the whip over all of us,
Mhm.
make sure that we come prepared. Thanks, John. Should we set a
What else
special
here?
meeting? I'm sorry.
I didn't hear that.
Should we set a special meeting date, if we're gonna meet next month?
Well, I didn't hear that conversation go on, so John had expressed that feeling. I didn't hear, I guess it was Ty, but I just didn't hear from the rest of you. What do you think, Steve? Do you think we need to have a special meeting to go over our, well,
Well-
spending possibilities for this year and priorities for next year?
I brought it up as a special thing because it seems we get carried away on other subjects and stuff. And like in Veronica Valley said, let's have a special meeting where we just go over our work that we gotta do. And if Miles Kimberly and Old Settlers had a meeting where you just talk about the work, whether it's this year or next year, and Scott be involved in each one of these, then yes, we could have a meeting and summarize it. That means each one of these parks would have to do something in the next 3 weeks, which we can do. And get going on some of this stuff. and then we can summarize it at a Parks and Rec meeting. If you wanna do it in December, fine. But I thought of a special meeting, because it seems like we're going on and on and on about other stuff.
Special.
Taking trees down and raking leaves and all this other stuff.
So
And this week.
I agree, we'll have $11,000 to $15,000 left in our budget. And if we do that again this year, give back $11,000 to $15,000, I don't know how we would defend our current budget next year.
Can Scott buy the incidentals with what's left over, like picnic tables and trash cans and all that?
I don't think anything.
Stock up with it?
Probably could, but we may discuss a piece of playground equipment. We haven't had anything new at Old Settlers in a long time.
We're getting building.
Well, it's true, but if we have some fun with that.
Or even, I mean, an additional piece of playground equipment at any of the parks would be fine with me.
Yeah.
It might be a
Or
quick
can
and
we do
easy.
the one step on the walking trail? Can we get engineering done on the walking trail or something?
Not too much, we can't even get trees.
Ty?
Yeah, okay, I move that we ask all of the subcommittees to meet between now and the first week in November, and we have a special session of the Parks and Recreation Commission in November to prioritize our budget expenditures.
Before the first week of November?
The committees?
Well,
That's within the next week. I mean, part of the problem is scheduling
within the next couple,
space and recorder.
whenever we can do it, let's have a special meeting.
I would remind the seated commissioners who sit on the board that we have several board meetings. So, I'm just putting it out there. Well, we've got,
the county commissioners
yeah,
have several meetings that they're gonna do.
Well,
Is that the point?
you've got 3
5th, 9th,
nighttime meetings.
Yeah.
5th, 9th, and 10th
You've got the 26th.
of October.
We have a public hearing
Yep.
on Monday.
I was into November, so.
And then we have the 5th and the 9th and the 10th.
Consensus. These committees get together.
But we could slip a committee meeting.
Just be sure and work with the clerk's office, because they have the meeting scheduled.
Yep.
So give me the motion again. Where we at?
Before you do, may I? All right, does everybody have their calendars? Could we fit a special meeting for Parks in on,
The last week in November.
well, that's Thanksgiving.
I think Thanksgiving's on the second.
Right here.
Your clerk will
Here,
not be
here,
available
what
the
about
last
here,
week
the
of
12th or
November.
13th of November, maybe 12th?
Those committees we have.
Oh,
Yes.
is there an
Yes,
election
in
coming?
hand. If we could meet the 12th, then anybody leaving for deer camp, that doesn't mess with the 13th.
Are you
Afternoon
talking,
of
are you
the 10th.
talking,
Afternoon of the 10th or the 12th, what works best for a special meeting for parks? Committees can meet ahead of that.
I'd say
I
the
think that's
12th.
Ty's vote.
let's go to 12 and push that off as far as we can.
Okay, you're gone on the 12th? You're already gone
I
to
think I'm
camp?
leaving 11.
Well,
What
now,
about the afternoon of the 10th?
Works for me.
Afternoon of the
Why,
10th?
why can't it be later in November?
Well,
To
it's,
be before the board meeting, right?
that would be the 16th.
now keep in mind that each of these committee meetings has to schedule a space and a recorder. I mean, somebody to do the minutes. That's a pretty short period of time to get all that in.
Could we combine the two
Laurel?
and have the subcommittees meet the 12th as well? So that we don't have to post one meeting?
The 12th isn't going to work for POPA.
Pardon?
12th doesn't work for POPA.
I'm going, Veterans is the 11th. I'm
Okay,
going
you've
the
got,
12th.
I'm looking at the meeting calendar, you've got solid waste in here at 2 o'clock. And it's probably gonna go 2 hours at least, Melinda?
What about afternoon of the 10th? What are you seeing?
That's the afternoon of the 10th, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
On November 12th, the whole afternoon is free. On November 13th, the whole day is pretty much free.
We almost have to go to like the first week of December and,
Is Veterans Day a holiday?
yes.
Huh?
We could schedule a special meeting for the first week of December and have the committees just fit their meetings in before that.
The 30th is
That's
open.
making more sense, I think.
What?
30th is open. Monday the 30th.
Mm.
Then we could get it to the county board ahead of time before their meetings.
Well, just so you know, for December, the executive board of the commissioners meets on the 8th, and the Parks and Rec is actually meeting on the 10th. That's a Thursday.
That's right. Yeah, I got that. So we could meet first, second, third, or fourth. And then meet the next week. 2 weeks in a row. Then we could take it to the full,
Well, if you wanted to, we could have a Parks and Recreation Commission update on the 8th, and you can come up with a general outline of what you're going to be presenting to the board on the 15th. That way you're not scheduling an extra meeting.
I don't think we have anything to present other than these two motions.
Yeah,
well, that's for
I'm
November.
not sure what,
This is for spending down our budget. Just take it to the 10th then of December?
You could,
Sounds good.
and just let
Have
them
the
know.
committees meet ahead of that.
Just say, we will have something to you after the Parks meeting on the 10th for review on the weekend prior to the regular session of the board. That way you're not scheduling a special session.
All right.
That's a thought.
And we'll just have to get it ordered and paid for in the next 2 weeks after
So that
that.
gives you comfort room on doing your committee meetings instead of rushing them.
Yeah, that's better. 'Cause there's a lot going on.
I don't think,
Sounds good to me.
But the groomer and the roller
Are in motion,
are done.
Yes, that's for November.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the grub shack's getting built.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
We'll see.
so review those dates for me.
So what's going on?
So the only thing you have in stone right now is there is no November meeting. There is a December 10th Parks meeting at 2:30. Well, probably 3. I think we scheduled it a half hour out. And that's a Thursday. So December 10th, Thursday at 3, you have a regular session. We will put something together for the board packet for the 8th, their executive session, that's gonna say it's a Parks and Rec update to let them know something will be coming to them for weekend review prior to the regular session. And that's for purchases, right?
Yes, so whatever we recommend on the 10th.
Got it.
Get approved on.
Does that make sense?
Yep,
Okay.
that's to me.
Does to me, I agree.
Now, all subcommittees have got to find some time here
We will.
in
Who
November.
else is on
That's
Old
right.
Settlers?
Me.
You and I and
You guys got to get together.
Casey.
Casey. Casey's on Old Settlers?
Yep.
All right, so we'll leave it.
And me.
And you.
And your clerk is not gonna be around at the end of November, just so you know.
Okay. Uh,
I wonder why. Craziness. Okay, so yeah, John, in terms of Veronica Valley Committee, I'll be in touch with the two of you, Johns and Steve. We will get that scheduled. So what else do we need here?
I have a question.
We still have, this is really part of the same thing. Item 4, as Laurel said, this is the copy of the previous agenda. So anybody have anything to say on this recreation plan review? That's really what we're talking about.
I think it's great.
I'm sorry, you think it's what?
I think it's great.
Okay.
Laurel did a super job on it.
Now, does everyone have a hard copy of our adopted 5-year plan? Okay.
Somewhere.
And it's always available online under the Parks Commission website.
You can call the meeting.
I was gonna suggest that you just call Kyle and just talk about it.
Really trying hard not to be
Where's,
about anything.
Oh,
Like drain commission.
Chopped out.
can I, are you at public comment yet?
Casey, you better take over.
Lost Dave.
Yeah, Casey.
Did Dave take off on us?
You might
I don't
have.
know, I'm gonna take off.
Oh, 'cause
No, you gotta ask for public
Guys,
comment.
I have one thing for public comment.
Okay.
Go ahead,
First of
Laurel.
all, The number to call is 231-256-8109. And because of what I do in my office, I am tasked with organizing the boards and commissions appointments. I believe Mr. Travis is up for reappointment this year. I don't remember him indicating if he wanted it again. I think he's eligible for one more term before he would be considered term limited out. So I will be forwarding any available candidates, including Kyle's application if he chooses to run again or be considered again, for review for your December meeting.
Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll move on. Any commissioner comments?
I have
Ty?
I have a comment I'd like to direct to Scott. I was out at Miles Kimmerly last weekend and it was beautiful. The park looked wonderful. I don't know if you get credit for the color of the leaves, but everything was beautiful.
I'll take whatever compliments I get. Thank you, Tom.
You've got everything looking really good, Scott. It's all, I've been by all 3 parks here in the last couple weeks and they look great.
I concur.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Nicely done.
For record year tourism,
Yeah.
You did a good job, buddy.
You could have done a little bit better on the sunshine to show off the leaves.
I know, yeah, next year.
All right.
Any other comments? I will move, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Aye.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Sorry I was late. We'll see you
It's all good.
soon.
run, Bo Buck.